everyone. Welcome back to Connecting the Dots. Today is going to be really fun. I'm sitting here in what is my new podcast studio and will continue to become a podcast studio. Right now it's 2 chairs, a little table, and a blank wall, but we're getting there. With one of my closest friends, Megan. Been wanting to have her on the podcast literally since season 1, but I feel like as everything happens, like timing is now perfect. I would love for you to just share who you are, what you do, and a little bit of your background of professionally, personally, whatever.
Yeah. So I'm Megan. I am a teacher at the moment, specifically pre-K4. And I did not go to school thinking I was going to be a teacher. But then I found Teach for America, and I'm sure Kath will touch on that's kind of how we connected. And so through that, ended up in a middle school science position. Loved it, but also anyone who's been a teacher knows that that's really hard. Probably just, especially the first year is just brutal. But thankfully, you know, I had met my now husband in college, so like had a decent support system like going through that. And then you have to make friends, teacher friends
Oh yeah.
to get through. And then took a break from teaching, worked remotely. Just happened to be at the time everyone started working remotely in 2020, but that wasn't necessarily on purpose. And then I had my daughter in 2022, and stay-at-home mom and stay-at-home work life was like really hard to balance. And as she became more active, I was like, I need to go do something else, and went back to the classroom, tried a younger age, and love it. And it's been great.
Yeah. Oh, it's so special. And I love that you touched on our time in Teach for America. That is how we met at middle school. Megan taught 6th grade. I taught 7th grade. So we were not on the same grade level team, but we were together through it all.
Meant to be.
Seriously. And then it just so happened that we chose the same masters.
Yes.
So we got that together, and then we were best friends. So we literally spent all of our time together. We were at school together. We had to do whatever else after school meetings together. We had to go to grad school class together. We had to go to Teach for America things together. And then we spent free time together as well.
So pretty much every waking hour together.
Literally. Bless. Will was in grad school at the time.
Yeah, I didn't really care.
I felt like I was always at your place, and he's like, where's Will? And you're like, oh, he's at school, he's at work. And I'm like, cool.
Great.
I'm here. I live here now. And aside from doing a very similar job, doing the same 2 programs, we also kind of both started to really care about our health and well-being and the products that we put in and around our bodies, which was really cool because we were so young.
Yeah.
Like
so young.
21, 22, young.
I like forget that other people don't focus on that.
No one, literally no one else did. And so it was really fun to be able to chat about that stuff and be like, what are you putting in your bathroom? That's not a toxic candle. What are you using as hand sanitizer in your classroom? Like, just like small things like that.
We're like the only ones using like Whole Foods hand sanitizer in our room. Like the Purex, whatever.
Yes. Or like when we were sick and we were getting the homeopathy.
Oh yeah, the homeopathic remedy. Sitting on our desk drinking tea and homeopathic cold medicine. Yeah. Everyone else is like
trying to kick cold and flu season up.
Yes.
So since you've been at this for a little bit of time and have been building habits, I want to know, what is one ritual or habit of yours that you do every day?
So not necessarily specifically health related, but I think mental health is also really important. And so one of the things I do consistently now every day is I sing good morning to my daughter every day. And it's actually a song that my mom sang to me when I was younger.
Sweet.
And now I sing it to her. And that's probably my only like consistent ritual every day. If anyone else is a mom, I think you would understand how consistency can sometimes be hard. But then health-wise, and we'll touch on this probably later too, like why I haven't been consistent, but I was super into tart cherry juice at night with like a little magnesium. That was like my favorite little treat before bed.
Yeah.
Couldn't stomach it for a while. We're getting back to it and slowly trying to incorporate some of those things again. But I don't know. I just like, I need a little treat at the end of the day. And like, I'll be honest, sometimes it's ice cream, but like, I was really trying to be healthy and incorporate the tart cherry juice.
Oh, yeah, I love that you started doing the tart cherry juice. It's such a nice ritual. And then I know that you had tested like sparkling waters to go in it. Did you end up foregoing those?
No, I did end up really like I didn't like just the tart cherry juice. Yeah. So like mixing in a little sparkling water. I personally really liked the cherry limeade Waterloo flavor in mine, but I dabbled in all the different flavors.
I just know that when people get their like ritual down, there's always a wreck. Like there's always a sparkling water, something to make it better. And I know that you would like the like.
That was my go-to, the cherry limeade with the tart cherry. Surprisingly, not too much cherry. It was perfect.
The same.
Yeah.
Love that. Thanks. And so, of course, you heard our background in education together and how our friendship started. But something that I really admired about you is as you were trying to figure out if education was for you forever, I think we kind of both went in to Teach for America with like a blank slate of we both want to give back. We both really appreciate the mission of this organization. We're just fresh out of college, but not necessarily, I don't think either of us went into it being like teachers forever or not teachers forever. Like we kind of were just like, let's see what happens. And I really admired during our second year as we were kind of ending our Teach for America commitment and figuring out what our next step was. You were like, I'm really interested in wedding planning, event planning, and I'm going to reach out to my wedding planner and just see, like, can I shadow you? Can I see what's going on? And I was like, that's actually sick that you had that like wherewithal to just be like, let me put this out there. This is an idea I have. If it sucks, it sucks. But if I love it, how can I get more involved? And then slowly but surely, now you're a lead planner for somebody.
Yeah.
So walk us through that process.
Well, let's just clarify. I only had the confidence to do that because at the time I was miserable what I was doing. First year teaching was hard. Second year was somehow worse. And let me just clarify. It's not the kids.
No.
It's really not the kids. No, it's all the other things. And so I was just like, what can I do that doesn't seem like I'll be miserable?
Yeah.
And I had gotten married our first year teaching. And so I was like, oh, like weddings are fun.
Yeah.
Weddings are a happy time. Like maybe I could do that.
Yeah.
Reached out to her and she was like, actually, I don't plan weddings anymore. I'm having kids. Yeah. But, here's the contact info for the woman who took over, all of my clients and stuff. And I was like, okay, don't know this woman at all. Sent her an email. It's like, hey, got your info and, would you have coffee with me?
Yeah.
And surprisingly, Haley was like, sure, met me for coffee. I just kind of laid it out for her. Like, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for, but like, I think what you do is really cool. I'd love to shadow you. And she was like, okay, like I don't really need an assistant or anything, but my next wedding is on X date. Like you can come shadow me. And I was like, okay. I was like, wear black. I'll see you then. I was like, okay, great. So probably the most like nerve-wracking day of my life following her around at a wedding.
Oh yeah.
Also like having not been in the planning process, you don't know anybody. You're just showing up at somebody else's wedding being like, hello,
hey.
I'm here in the background.
Yeah.
But ended up being like the biggest blessing and I stuck with it since then. And like you said, for the most part have assisted her at a majority of her weddings. And then over the past like 2.5 years, have also taken on my own clients and then lead planners for their weddings, which I love. And it really, and it has never become like my full-time thing, but it's been so nice having my own kind of just like side, I don't want to call it a side hustle, just like a side project, like a side passion, like something that I just do because I like doing it, not because I have to do it.
Totally.
It's the best.
And it's two things that came to mind. The first is, so I've gotten to assist Megan on 3 weddings, and it's so true. You just show up, you don't know anybody, and you also don't know what the heck's going on. Like, you are briefed with a schedule and the task that you will be doing. But other than that, like, I can't answer anyone's questions about anything. So it is very daunting to just like be there and be like, I'm here to help, but if you have questions, not for me.
I'm not the right person. I think that's why once I finally started doing some of my own weddings, like obviously that's way more responsibility and you're like, that would be even scarier. But in some ways it's actually really, really nice because having gone through the whole planning process, like I know the couple, I know the family, I know their vision, and it's so much easier to make it happen on that day. I know the vendors that we've booked, like I'm the one who's communicated with them versus like you're saying, when you're just the assistant, you just come and you're like, if it's not in my schedule, if it's not in my folder, I can't answer your question. Like, let me call someone else.
So it is like twofold, right? It's nice to not have the responsibility fall on you, but it's also nice to be in the know of like, what the heck is happening?
To actually know what the vision is, how to execute it is very nice.
And obviously, like, I am now in the wedding planning process. And so I thought it would be fun, one, to just chat about like your experience, because I really admired you at that time when we were both miserable at our school. And as like I said, not the kids, we literally had all of our bosses quit. And we were both like, what's going on? And I was really inspired by you. And I was like, I need to figure out what I'm doing. Like, if Megan is networking and figuring out her next step, like, I gotta get my shit together. So one, I just wanted to highlight that.
I think it's funny that you felt that way because I did not feel like I was getting my shit together at all. I was like, I am floundering here and I'm trying to find something to do. So I guess just to say, really true, fake it till you make it. Like, you just gotta try something.
Because I was just like, that's amazing. Like, how cool. So anyways, wanted to point that out. And then two, thought it would be fun because there's a lot of people who listen to the show that are around our age in the wedding mix or would like to be soon. And just wanted to chat, since all of the weddings that you've done and been a part of and planning one for yourself, what are your top 3 wedding do's or more? But
I think truly, and this is like the hardest thing for people to do. My biggest do is to be cutthroat on your guest list. Like, I think people get so worried about hurting somebody's feelings. And I was friends with them in, high school, that they just have to invite everybody. And then it's hard because then like parents want to invite their coworkers and their friends. And especially once we're in the workforce, for me, it was hard because I was just coming out of college. And so you just had a lot of friends from college, but I didn't really have the workforce friends. But then once you get into the workforce, you have so many coworkers and like, where's the line of like, how close do you have to be with somebody? And truly, I just find that the happiest events are the ones where people just kept their guest list really small. And I understand that's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you think you're leaning that direction, take the red pen to your guest list and just like X people out. Because you really end up, like, I just feel like people end up so much happier with that at the end of the day. And I'm saying this to you who does not know how to cut down a guest list at all.
And in fairness, I do get asked all the time, like, are you having a big wedding? And like, the answer is yes, but it does not feel like it because family, between my family and Luke's family, is 100 people. Like, so it does feel small. It's not even like I'm inviting my parents' extended family. It's literally like aunts, uncles, cousins. So it's the other 100. Actually, not even. is like the last 50. So right now we're at 200. Our next 50 is like who could have been in our bridal party and their significant others. So that is like really easy.
Yeah.
Like the first 150 of our guest list is family or closest friends and their partners. The last 50, I will say, is really challenging because it is like, how are you weighing people? And it's so challenging because I hate to do this, but it's like, last Christmas, did they reach out? This birthday season, who texted me or called or whatever on my birthday? When you're in these like question mark stages, you're like, who is showing up for me and who, I never want to say deserves it because that's so fucked. Like everyone deserves it. I would love to have a 400.
You would invite every single person you've ever.
Yeah, I would literally invite my 6th grade teacher if I could. Like, so it's challenging, but it's helpful to hear you say that.
I just think you ultimately like you just have to be happy on the day. And then to be honest, most people don't really get that upset for not being invited to a wedding. And honestly, some people, especially if they're you who's been in so many weddings, might be relieved to not get another invitation to another event. Like, no, don't get me wrong, but
hey, it's true.
Everyone's wedding is great, but like, you can only do so many. But I know that's like a really hard one, but I mean, like, not that. If cutting your guest list isn't doable for somebody, then like I think my other favorite thing at weddings is like really personalized touches. Yeah. And I think sometimes people think that means you have to spend like crazy money. Yeah. And while if you want to spend crazy money, I've seen some awesome personalized touches. It can be great. Yeah. That's not necessarily it. I just mean like you find ways to like actually incorporate your personality. Yeah. What are things that you love? Like what are things that you care about? An easy way a lot of people do that is if they're obsessed with their dog, they like incorporate a picture of their dog into something. And I actually love it. I love seeing like little sketches of people's dogs that like on the bar signs or like on the napkins and stuff. I've seen lots of weddings now if the couple has met in like a unique way or like their first text exchange was funny, they'll like print a picture of the like first few texts on like a napkin. Yeah. And like that's hilarious because like throwing it back to like how it all started, who doesn't love that? Oh yeah. Or even like activities, like I've had someone who's really into golf and they wanted maybe like a little putting green at like their wedding reception, like just finding ways to make it you and so it doesn't just feel like you're walking into just any wedding. Yeah, that's helpful. I loved, so Megan had mentioned that she works for a woman named Haley, and I actually got to help Megan at Haley's wedding, which was cool. Yes. And she has 2 very cute dogs and they did koozies and the dogs were wearing what, cowboy boots or cowboy hats? Yeah. To die for. Like I literally was like, that is the cutest personal touch. Yes. Ever. Yeah, chilly and squishy. They're the stars of the show. So cute. Also at her wedding, she had the like embroidery lady come and she like stitched custom bandanas for all of the guests, which, you know, maybe not doable for everybody, but was like a really cool like take home keepsake. So I think if you can incorporate something that like guests can like take home with them, that's awesome. And it was nice too, because there were quite a few pregnant people at her wedding and they all were like so excited to have like a little activity to be doing that like that wasn't waiting at the bar. And it was cool too because their bandana had like it wasn't just like a plain bandana. No, she had like customized it. Yeah. It had like their college logos on it, like things that were meaningful to Texas stuff. Yeah. It was really sweet. So like, a way that you can kind of bring in for sure those things is cool. Yeah. I think also the last thing for me is I think like bride and groom can either agree or each need to pick the thing that's like most important to them. Yeah. And then focus your energy there. Yeah. Right. Because so like for me, cake is non-negotiable. Like wedding cake is my most favorite thing ever. It needs to be good. Like I was not going to skimp my wedding cake. Yeah. Which for somebody else, cake might not be their thing. Yeah. That was my thing. And that is what we focused on. Yeah. And that was important to me. And I don't think my husband actually cared about anything. So She doesn't really count, but sometimes grooms like want to have like their thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it could also just be like the design of their like groom's cake, or it's like the little touch for them, or they just really want to have this drink at the bar.
Right.
Great. But I think you just pick your thing, because you can't necessarily focus on every single thing.
Yeah.
But if you pick your one or two things that are like really important to you, then you can make sure that those will be done right.
Yeah.
For your wedding.
Love that.
Yeah.
Any other must-dos?
I think those are my big do's.
Love that.
Yeah.
And as a girl, you're trying to cut down on a list. Any advice on like a pulse check?
I think for me, if you go through the list and you're like questioning it, highlight them in a different color.
Yeah.
And then like come back to it another day. And if you're still questioning it, take them out.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if there is a question in your mind,
cool,
just take them off. Put them on the back burner for the day and revisit and see how you feel.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate all of those personally. And then what are some of your like don'ts?
For me, I like do not skimp on your photographer. Like to me, like that is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because like that is your keepsake from your day, right? Like, okay, yes, you have the memories and you're gonna look back on it fondly and you want your experience to be great, but okay, 10, 20 years from now, when you want to go back and like reminisce and look at things, like you want your pictures to be what you want them to be.
Yeah.
And that's just like one area where I would like never suggest trying to maybe save a little, you know, like cut corners. And like, I'm not saying it has to be the most expensive part of your budget, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would take the least risks with my photographer.
Yeah.
For any vendor that I was booking.
Totally.
Because that's just what you have to like look back on, you know? And I don't want to look back on bad photos.
Or just that weren't what you wanted, even if they're, you know, they're professionals, even if they're great pictures, but it's like, that's not the picture I wanted to have hanging on my wall or, you know, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. So that's just like a big one. And like, it seems like it should go without say, but don't drink too much on your wedding day.
Yeah.
And it's hard because like it's easy, especially if you have a bridal party or like a groom's and whatever. It's like easy to get caught up in the excitement of the day and just be like having a drink and having a toast and, you know, blah, blah. But it's just, if that becomes too much too soon, like you just don't enjoy the rest of the day. Like wedding days can really be such a marathon. And
truly,
both from the working inside and getting married side. And you just like, you put so much time into planning this day, you don't want to ruin it by overindulging too quickly.
Yeah.
And then like a random one people don't think about is like, it actually really matters the like activities you do the days like leading up to the wedding. And then even like that morning.
Yeah.
I feel like this is especially guys. Like guys always want to go like golfing on their wedding day.
Yeah.
Go golfing on like the Thursday before, because golfing usually, one, you're drinking a lot, you get sunburned.
Yeah.
Or like people want to go hang out at the pool in the morning. You don't want to get sunburned on the day of your wedding or like the day before.
Yeah.
And it seems like such an easy activity, but I just think go to lunch.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Yeah.
Just go to lunch, or honestly, you could play pickleball or something.
Yeah.
You need to keep it quick.
Stay indoors.
Sun.
And it also makes me think about, I feel like having been in so many weddings, like you want to make sure that your bride, or if you're a, you know, groomsman or whatever, your groom, are having fun. Like you want the vibes to be upbeat. You want it to be relaxing or exciting, you know, whatever the vibe is. But it's hard in our society to like not associate that with like, can I get you a drink? Do you want me to drink with you? And like how to be a hype woman without alcohol. Without alcohol, because it also is hard to say no when you're excited and you're also feel bad because you've got X amount of girls trapped in a hotel room for 7 hours. And you're like, I want you to have fun, but I don't want to get drunk and it's a hard balance. So like being in the role or in the room with the bride or the groom and not trying to like,
yes,
I don't know, it's hard.
it is hard, but I believe in everyone.
Yeah. No, totally. Maybe more fun, sparkling, non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. I mean, you can like. I'm not saying you can't drink. Just like space it out.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Don't chug the bottle while you're getting your hair and makeup done.
Yeah. No, it's so fair. And then one thing that I'm so grateful for of being able to work weddings with you is just seeing how it appears on our end sometimes that like everything is going wrong. And to the couple, to the guests, it is the most beautiful, perfect, amazing, incredible ceremony reception experience. And it has given me so much peace for when my day comes and knowing that buses may be late,
wrong turn.
You take a wrong turn, cars might get stuck, things might not be placed exactly in the spot that you want them.
Yeah.
Floods
rain.
Yeah. And like everyone is still so happy. Like it's nobody. I've never seen a bride or groom when working with you but that one little thing, they're like, this is the best day of my fucking life.
Yeah. I think that's like the beauty of having a planner though. Yeah. And like one of the reasons that, and not even like in a biased way of like, oh, hire me. Like literally just like for you and your peace of mind. Yeah. Having a planner is going to make your day so much more enjoyable because we're the ones back there sweeping the water out of the tent that's like pouring in, and like we're the ones, you know, trying to mop up the floor and clean up the mud and like move these flowers around, you know, and that way you don't have to think about it when you're the bride or like even like a guest at the wedding. Like you're not in that zone. No. Yeah, Kath and I were reminiscing before we started about this wedding where it was tented and it poured down rain all day, I think the day leading up to it, and we got there and there was literally just like water pouring into the tent, just streaming in, and we're in there squeegeeing the floors trying to push it out and
calling the people, the
company, like, you have to come fix this, and they're like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
it's raining.
I'm glad I threw a couple towels in my car. We were like, just like keep it away from the electrical cords, and but that's why you want to have somebody behind the scenes to just
take care of it. Yeah, take care of it.
Not have to worry about it.
It sounds like the biggest disaster and the worst thing ever, but like it turned out fine. Everything was perfectly fine.
The wedding was beautiful, and like I said, if you have a good photographer, you cannot tell a single thing in any of the photos. The photos are stunning. It looks like perfection. Yeah. Would never know it was raining if you hadn't been there. Yeah. But I think that's the thing too. Like once you help at a couple weddings, you just like learn you have to be prepared for anything. Yeah. And like, weather is like one that often, unfortunately, you just can't control. Yeah. But, you know, all the other pieces that like go into that, you know, I've had people just like literally show up and be like, I forgot what I'm supposed to wear. And they look at me and I'm like, so how do you want me to help you with that? Like, I know I'm the planner, but I can't magically
grab a dress,
something for you. I'm like, I got safety pins, I got extra buttons, but I can't fully clothe you. Just don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah. Or people that are literally, this was another rainy wedding, and it was long dresses, so all the bridesmaids' dresses were like soaked on the bottom, and we're like, just cut it off. I was like, what? You want me to cut your dress? They're like, yeah, we just cut the bottom off of all. This was after the ceremony, into the reception. Yeah. But I was just like, okay, we're just going to cut these dresses that I spent hours steaming earlier to make sure that they looked nice. I'm just going to cut them off. And
it's fine. No, and I think one of the best blessings about having a planner is like the logistics stuff and like having somebody to think through these things for you. Because after working with you and also just being in weddings and just seeing like the tiny things that like the person didn't think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, well, who's in charge of this?
Mm-hmm.
Who's in charge of paying the bus driver? Who's in charge of moving these things or taking X
Mm-hmm.
thing home? Or like, how are you filling up these vases with water in a place that doesn't really have accessible water?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, yeah.
There's just a lot of logistics that if you haven't done a wedding before, which most of the time, if you're getting married, probably your first time getting married, so just like things you're not thinking of.
Yeah.
So if you don't have someone else thinking of those things for you, it can just be like really stressful on that day. And I understand budget wise, like having a full planner might not be it.
Yeah.
But like there are plenty of people you can hire for like month of, day up. Like it really just someone who can like take the stress.
Totally.
Like it might not be perfect, but they can at least handle
the
logistics and the behind the scenes so you don't get bogged down in it.
Because it's a lot of decisions. It's a lot of little details.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for kind of doing a little wedding talk. I know at the beginning of this season I had said we'd chat about it since it's what's happening in my life.
Yeah, it's a big part of your life right now.
And part of yours. So thanks. And then wanted to switch gears, not the most like graceful of transitions, but here we are. Talking a little bit about your journey becoming a mom.
Yeah. So, Kath, like we said in the beginning, we're pretty much intertwined in everything. So she helps me with wedding stuff, and she also helps me with health stuff and fertility and all of that. So such a great friend and asset to have in my life. But so my daughter was born in 2022. And
crazy also.
I know, she's almost two. And right before I got pregnant with her, I had a miscarriage. And that one specifically was a missed miscarriage, which just means that I showed up to the doctor's office for your like 8-week ultrasound and there wasn't a heartbeat. And so then they're just like, well, I mean, they're nice about it, but like, you know, obviously not the news anybody wants to get when they show up thinking that they're pregnant. And I think I had a really hard time feeling it meant that I wasn't pregnant, even though like I was pregnant. And, you know, I will never know exactly when it stopped being viable, but I still was pregnant for that time being. Anyway, I had to like have a procedure after that since my body just basically wasn't acknowledging that like the pregnancy wasn't viable anymore. And it was just like an emotional mess. Kathleen came and picked me up after my procedure and took me home. Took me to Chick-fil-A and took me home. And yeah, just like a really tough time, but then ended up getting pregnant with my daughter like really quickly after that, which I guess not, I was surprised, not like medically like a huge surprise, like very viable. And actually after the research I've done, you're like your most fertile the first like 3 months after a miscarriage. And if you get pregnant in that window, it leads to like the most viable chances for like that next pregnancy. Interesting. Which is super interesting. So I guess hopefully why it all worked out for the second go around. But thankfully that pregnancy was like pretty normal from then on. Like the only like I guess hiccup was the 20-week anatomy scan, and there was a spot, it was like a calcium deposit on her heart that can be a sign of Down syndrome. But we had done all the genetic testing that was negative, referred me to a specialist who just like monitored it, and they're just like, we'll just see what happens when she's born. And she was born super healthy, and it resolved itself and it was all fine. But I think I really struggled with like, I think anybody who's had a miscarriage, you're like, what did I do wrong? So you're like feeling like you did something wrong like that time. So then like when I was pregnant again, you're like so nervous, like you're going to do something wrong again, even though I know that most of the time it's like genetics. It's literally just like if anything is genetically abnormal, which like you can't fully control, then like it's just the body's natural way of like saying like this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Then I think what is, so have a healthy pregnancy, have a healthy daughter.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to try again.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I think a lot harder than I thought it would be to get pregnant again.
Yeah.
Even having had a miscarriage, you're like, oh, well, maybe it's just like a one-time thing. Like you talk to plenty of people who are like, I had one, but like then I had all these kids and like,
yeah,
it's great. So I came to Kath eventually and was just like, I don't know why it's like taking me so long to get pregnant, because we weren't just being like, oh, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're tracking all the things.
Yeah.
Doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, Kath, like, what do I need to do differently?
Yeah.
And so we like, I can't remember all, I mean, we looked at like my prenatals I was taking.
Yeah.
Some like supplements, changed to like what seemed like maybe a stronger like prenatal option for me.
Yeah.
And all of that, which was like great and super helpful. Got pregnant again and then had another miscarriage.
Yeah.
So at that point for me, it was really like, I don't really know what else to do differently.
Yeah.
So again, I was like, Kath, like, what are we going to do? I had my doctor run more like blood work that time.
So much blood work.
We did a lot more blood work. We did an ultrasound to like check things like physically.
Yeah.
So like very thankful my doctor like took me seriously, since it was my second miscarriage, even though it wasn't consecutive.
Yeah.
And so then Kath was able to look at my blood work and give me some like tips and things on like what we were going to change. Because I think the biggest thing for me in like wanting people to know is like, technically all my blood work came back like in the green, like normal. But like I still wanted you to look at it so you could be like, well, this is okay. Yeah. But like what's optimal? Right. Right. So do you remember all the specific stuff that
I mean, not like every.
I know like thyroid stuff was like, there's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
There's stress.
I know. And it's like, how do you tell your best friend who just went through a traumatic experience to relax? Yeah. How do you do that?
I do remember one of my recommendations were like lower stress.
So the informative piece about taking a functional approach to labs is, like you said, looking for the optimal ranges. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that the standard lab ranges that your doctor will have are for the general population. So these are the average, the way that they get these numbers is that they're the average numbers for everybody. Mm-hmm. So the sickest of the sick are factored in, the healthiest of the healthy are factored in, and then they get the ranges somewhere in between. And unfortunately, we're not a very healthy society. So a lot of times these ranges are way wider than what is optimal. Mm-hmm. But I will say, even with that, like there was no red flag on your labs, even looking at it from a functional lab, where I was like, culprit. There is nothing glaring where I'm like, oh,
this is it.
This is it, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, right? I think that was like the hardest thing for me, because you don't want something to be wrong with you. Right? Like that would be crazy if you're like, I want to be sick. Like, I don't want to be sick, but also when you're going through something, I like wanted there to be a reason. And in my mind, that meant like, oh, easy fix. Like if there was this one thing and like, oh, I just like addressed it, then that would mean I wouldn't have any more problems.
And I think before I kind of get into specifics, it's important to say that, like I had said at the beginning, we started like switching out our products when you first tried to get pregnant. It was like for 5 years, like 5 years before you had been living really low tox, really being intentional about what you put in on your body. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, but you'd gone off birth control way before.
Detox off of that years before. Like
years before.
I felt like I was like ready.
Yeah. Like you did all of the quote unquote right things. And so that also made it easier and harder when you're like, Kath, we're done second time around here. Like, what is the cause? And I mean, I don't think we know, like, we don't know. We still don't know.
Unfortunately, not a clear answer.
But I'm like just briefly like going over like what we were looking at, and it was just like such tweaks, like adding more iron and B vitamin foods into your diet. I think it was getting more vitamin D like naturally, not just taking a supplement, but just like sunlight outside in the sun. I know it's hard to work out when you have an infant, but like walking outside with her and like being more intentional with that. Like there was some stuff for that. And then the biggest thing though was like oxidative stress was what came up the most.
Which obviously like exercise can help with that and stuff. But yeah, it was so many like simple, like in and of themselves, simple changes. Just then I think when you're like a mom of a toddler and stressed about having miscarriage, like you said, how do you tell a friend that's like just had a miscarriage to relax and not stress? It's also like, how do you tell the mom of a toddler to like relax and like not stress?
Right.
Really hard to do.
Really hard.
But also like something obviously that I like really wanted, like you want to figure out and stop having miscarriage and have a healthy pregnancy. So I think the only other thing I did differently then, especially after the second miscarriage, is I did stop drinking. And I don't say that, like, I don't know that that's like a new lifestyle change for me. Like, oh, I'm just sober, which is great if that's a choice that you make for yourself and just going to be sober. Awesome. I don't know that that's like the choice I was making, but I was at least making the choice of like, I know this isn't great when you're trying to conceive. I'm having trouble conceiving. Like, I as well just cut it out and like hope that helps. And I don't think that was like my magic bullet answer. But at least I felt like I was like doing something tangible, just like getting more sunlight and going on more walks and like, you know, working on the stress level. That was something like tangible for me that I could do. And I mean, it like did all work out. Like I'm pregnant now. But yeah, like I wish it was really clear, like I did this and like that's what helped. And I don't think it's just not clear cut.
Right.
And that's like so frustrating. I mean, like thankful that something worked out this time. And I think it is showing me too that like at probably my last 2 miscarriages were both just like genetic things that like you can't really control. But on the same stretch, frustrating because like if you are living what you think is like so healthy and like low toxin stuff, you're like, well, that should mean that my egg reserves and like my egg quality is like really healthy. I was taking all the supplements for like egg health, like what was it, CoQ10 and something else.
We added in the only thing that because I had like
isotal and
I had a whole list of supplements to like suggest, and you were like taking. The only one I think that I threw in the mix was Vitex. Herb.
Started taking that one. Which I think was just helping with like cycle regulation too. It's like all important pieces. I just wish it was like really clear which piece was the answer. Probably won't ever know.
But I also think, and similar to what you said of like not trying to tell you to have a wedding planner, not trying to tell you to have a nutritionist or whatever, but I think that there's something to be said of having a plan and like knowing that you're working towards something. And like, obviously I did not tell her to just relax.
No,
that was not it. But she was like, okay, like, I was like, maybe like breath work would be really nice, or like positive affirmations, or like
the tapping.
Tapping, focusing on the fact that you had a healthy pregnancy, that you did this, your body can do it. And then you're like, well, what if like one night I just like want to watch reality TV? And I'm like, fucking watch reality TV. Like if that's going to make you not freak or stress or like have the like hamster wheel going, do that. And I feel like having that permission and like the tools and being like, I'm doing this for a reason, whatever the activity is like reassuring in some way.
Oh, for sure. I think for me though too is like, even if you have the like best, most like understanding doctor who's listening to your concerns, which I do feel like overall I have a very supportive doctor. Like I said, like she wasn't like, we'll try for a year and come back. Like I think my like least favorite thing to hear from a doctor when you're trying to conceive, no, I don't want to do this for a year and be unsuccessful and then have you take me seriously.
And then how taxing.
Right. I mean, that's like so hard on you physically, mentally, like all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so even having a supportive doctor, I feel like having the like nutritionist piece of it though is like way more tailored to you because like unfortunately those doctors have so many patients and like so much to get through. It's not that I feel like she's not taking me seriously or like doesn't want to be helpful, but she can only offer so much of her time and so much insight versus having someone who's taking the time to very specifically look at your stuff and like make recommendations specifically for you and your lifestyle is totally different, you know? And I just think like a piece that some people probably miss in like the fertility journey, because also it just can be like so isolating and like also you want to trust that your doctor is, you know, and they're not doing the wrong things. They're doing everything that they can for you, but like it can only go so far.
Right.
And I just think the more people you can like put on your team that can support you in that, what is like a very lonely journey is like going to be better for you in the end.
Totally.
Yeah, it was crazy. I literally realized the other day that this is technically my 4th pregnancy.
Yeah.
And like that was just like really weird to think about, because even though like you're like so happy to have a healthy child and then you know, hopefully like healthy child on the way, you still always think about the other like, I don't know, I don't want to say like what could have been, but it was just like really weird.
I think that you've done a really good job, for lack of a better word. I mean, like, what is good, what is bad, I don't know, but you've done a really admirable job of being just like honest about it. And so for full transparency for listeners, I approached you being on the podcast to talk about wedding stuff. And you were like, I think that people should not feel alone in their journey and like hear somebody talk about it.
And obviously everybody's journey is so different. And like some people who have had more miscarriages than me and maybe have even tried IUI or IUF and like all the different things, like, and still haven't had like a healthy pregnancy, like so hard to like think about. But I just think unfortunately there just like aren't a lot of people that talk about miscarriage. And like I just find like when I bring it up, there's always somebody else who can like relate to that or like has been through the same thing or knows someone who's been through the same thing. But yet nobody's willing to bring it up. And I feel like I always have to be like the downer who's like willing to bring it up, because like it's not like I want to talk about sad stuff all the time, but I also think it's like important that people don't have to like feel like they're the only ones going through it.
Totally. And people want to be there for you, or you know what I mean? Like not just you specifically, but anybody going through things, like your people want to be able to show up for you. And so I always just appreciated that you were honest with us, because I know that that's so hard. And with your first miscarriage, I knew that you were pregnant, but with your second one, I didn't even know that you were pregnant until
I had to send a text.
You had to send a text.
Like, hey, this is happening. Which also I think is like totally fair though, because like sometimes it's like, no, I know you're not saying it's not fair that I didn't tell you, but I just mean like sometimes it's, you can't say everything like just out loud. And so like sometimes with bad news, I just have to like, it's easier to just send a text. And she's like, so this is what's happening. And like, I just want you to know. Because it's not, I don't expect everyone to just drop everything and like rush over, but it's also like, if you're going through something really hard, it's also weird to sit there alone. For me, alone in it and not have your close friends know what's going on. And then for me, like the further out I get from something, the easier it is for me to talk to other people about it. Like obviously on the day that like I'm, you know, was having this most recent miscarriage and I had taken my daughter on like a play date, I'm not sitting there telling everybody like what's going on. But now if I, you know, now I can talk about it. But in the moment, I'm not just like offering up to every single person like, hey, so I'm having a miscarriage right now, because
Yeah.
you also like, even if I want to be honest, like I also need time to like process
Oh yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah. I'm just really grateful for you for opening the conversation for our entire friend group, because nobody knows what the future holds in our fertility journeys. And so it's nice to know that we can talk about it and that it's a safe space.
Well, I just hope I've taken all the bad luck for the friend group, and everyone else will just have great, healthy pregnancies and they'll be magical. But yeah, no, just thanks for the time to share that. Like, I just don't want other people to like feel alone in that, or that they're the only ones.
Yeah, because we have a friend who has a healthy baby now, and she's 6 or 7 months into her pregnancy, and she's like, yeah, like I'm so grateful we had 2 miscarriages. And I was like, what? Like,
no idea.
I had no idea that you were going through this for a year, you know? And so like I'm grateful that you are opening up the door.
Yeah. I just hope it helps other people share, because it's a really hard path to walk alone. Even if you have your partner, like in that path, like it's still a hard path to just walk behind closed doors. Yeah. It's like really hard. But hopefully for everybody, they eventually get their little rainbow baby, their little light at the end of the tunnel, and makes it all worth it.
Yeah. I believe in it. But I did think, since we have kind of alluded to it a few times throughout the episode, of swaps that we've made, or like favorite brands, like everybody likes to know, what is the thing?
Easy takeaways.
Everybody likes to know, okay, now what?
So I think for me, like the biggest thing is like I had already made a lot of the non-toxic swaps at home, which makes it all the more frustrating. But for someone who hasn't even started doing that, I think you just have to pick an area and start there, because you can't look at your whole house and your whole lifestyle and be like, I have to change everything. Right. Like you have to pick one thing. So it could be like laundry detergent. It could be your makeup, like whatever it is. Totally. Just pick your one thing and start there, and then slowly work up to other things. Like anytime I've given friends advice on that haven't cleaned up their products or whatever, I'm like, just pick one thing and start there. Or I just start gifting them clean stuff, and then we eventually build our way up. Yeah.
Well, it's a reminder that we started this journey at 21 to 22.
So long ago.
And we're approaching your 30s. So like,
yes.
And I'm still swapping products.
Yeah. Still not perfect by any means, but like, I think skincare products can be like a big one. I love the Necessaire brand and the OC brand. Their body oil is my favorite. And it's just clean and it's nice. I've been using Indie Lee for a long time for like skincare products. Clear Stem is like another one, like especially if you're like acne prone or like have any skin problems. That one's really good. Shampoo is one that I find really hard for people. Like people get so attached to their shampoo. Yeah. And I think for me, it was easy because I never found a shampoo that like works for my hair. So whatever, I'll try a clean shampoo. Yeah. I like the Inner Sense brand. Some people wouldn't like this, but I think that the shampoo I use kind of smells like orange jello. And I
love that.
Like I don't smell like orange jello, but like when I put it on, at least no one's told me I smell like orange jello.
I have not noticed.
Like I like that one. Deodorant is like such a tough one. I think people don't understand the importance of doing like the armpit detox ahead of time and like throughout your transition. Yeah. Because it wasn't until I finally did that I feel like clean deodorant clicked for me, / finding a brand that like actually worked. Yeah. Like, unfortunately, some of the easier access ones are not great. I can get mine on Amazon though. I like the Corpus brand. Yeah. And Primalite Pure is pretty good too. Yeah. I like that one a lot. For makeup, I like Ilia. Yeah. Which that one's so easy now. You can literally get it at Sephora.
Oh yeah. And Amazon.
And Amazon. Yeah. They have a website. I mean, like, online shopping, done, comes to your door. Yep. Easy. And laundry detergent was like a hard one. For some reason, my husband put up such a fight about not having like a scented laundry detergent. Yeah. Because I was using Branch Basics for forever.
Yeah.
And he was like, it doesn't smell like anything. So I got the Attitude brand that at least has like a light scent for him, but it's still clean.
Attitude's great.
And so that was my compromise for him. I don't mind it. It's still clean. And like, newsflash to him, our clothes don't really smell strongly after he washes them. But whatever, you can smell the scent when you put it in.
Yeah. It's so funny.
But those were like big ones too, like after having my daughter, like there's so many baby products that are just like not clean.
Yeah.
And like, not that everybody has like a baby and stuff, but like that one was just like, I felt like I had to do the most like independent research, like trying to figure out what to use. Thank goodness for the EWG app. It's one that like, I feel like I got more pushback from like parents on, like my parents, whatever, just because they're like, well, we use this when you were a baby and you turned out fine. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I don't want to use those brands. So those were like definitely harder because all the baby stuff is so scented.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love a good smelling baby, but my baby is unscented.
No, she's so good.
Well, she smells fine.
Yeah.
She's not dirty.
No.
She's unscented.
I love that so much. My baby is unscented.
But I will say it's like so much harder than you would think to find unscented baby stuff.
Yeah.
So hard.
And it just sucks that like fragrances, that word can literally mean anything.
Oh yeah.
And that's just so confusing and weird. And I don't understand why we need to put these unknown labels on things and we can't be transparent.
Because everybody wants to keep their formula secret. And I'm like, I'm not going to steal your formula. I just want you to tell me if what you put in your product is safe or not. I am not out here trying to make all my own companies to take over all of your products.
When you did your armpit detox, did you just do bentonite clay?
Yeah, I did the bentonite clay and like apple cider vinegar.
Okay, yeah.
So like so easy. Buy the stuff at Whole Foods. The only part that's like weird is you gotta like walk around your it dries out. But I just did it on like a night my husband wasn't home.
Yeah,
it's fine. I have to do it like a couple times. I feel like before it gets better.
Yeah.
You just also have to like stick with it because the transition does suck. It's really hard. I even did it in winter and like my husband was still like, you smell. I persevered. We made it on the other side.
I mean, that is one of the hardest things because I found that I liked some clean deodorants, but it didn't like me back. Yeah. Like I was getting like
the rash. Yeah.
Or they just like didn't work. Like I know. So I've done the detox too, found the brand that I use Primarily Pure.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
They have tons of different options.
Yeah.
It's like so great. Again, you can order it online.
But it sucks you have to do the guess and the check.
I know. No. Well,
is it gonna break me out or am I gonna smell?
Literally, that's like the hardest part though, because then you feel like, well, I'm spending all this money on all these different deodorants, and then when nothing's working, it's so frustrating. Yeah. So I do think though, if you do the detox and then to be honest, if you just go straight to like a higher quality, clean brand, you're probably going to be more successful versus like us early on when we like don't have a ton of money to spend. Yeah. And you're like, what can I get at Target or whatever that's like clean? Yeah. And nothing against them. They obviously work for somebody. Right. Just like, if you're more sensitive, it's not going to work for you. Yeah. The struggle. So many struggles. But yeah, I just think just take baby steps because otherwise it's just not feasible. No. Like you can't do it all in one day. No. I mean, great if you can, but like you probably can't.
No, I mean, hence why it's literally 9 years later. Yeah, and I'm still swapping out things that I can finally afford.
Yes. Yes. As we've gotten older, like the quality of my products is definitely going up on certain things and what you can afford. Baby steps.
Baby steps. No, like seriously. And in the true spirit of 80-20, if there is one product that someone is like, this has to be in my life, then cool. Great. Keep it. Yeah. But then what are you
gonna
give
on? Yeah, exactly.
Yay. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
This was so fun and just so nice. I mean, I knew your story and everything, but it's always like cool to hear people I care about share it in one instance instead of just like being a part of the little moments.
All the little pieces.
Yeah. It's really special. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Love you.
Love you.